a short piece that I decided to do on Chutney music, and it actually sort of transcended into soca and older and contemporary dancehall. So the name of this very informal presentation is Pum Pum Turn Up, Lick Down Minani, Caribbean Woman Mash Up the Dance. The dance, the physical dance space, the stage, the studio, the party, the social event. The dance, patriarchy, the space we inhabit, the pervading ideology, the ideological state apparatus. Through their rhythms, sassy lyrics, double entendre, dynamic performances, provocative and political intentions, chutney, soca, and dancehall forms of musical expression performed by Caribbean females have been seen to be a form of cathartic release, voicing and resisting oppression. An answer back to patriarchy, embodying female sexual expression and agency. Who's at the center of these, that piece of lyric? What about the pronoun that is used? She, right? So definitely from that positioning of the woman at the center, she is the dancehall queen. And I use that piece because it ended by saying she's going to mash up the place, right? She's a dancehall queen for life, going to explode like dynamite. She's moving out the side to mash up the place, right? Again, going back to my idea of Caribbean women mashing up the dance, mashing up the dance meaning, performing very well on stage, and also deconstructing or destabilizing patriarchy as a metaphor of the dance. So, from Hybridity in the 90s to 2030, to Dennis Belfon in the Soca arena, to Lady Saw, Spice, Tanya Stevens, and J. Capri in Jamaica, female Caribbean singers have been mashing up the dance for years, creating a new space, an alternative space, a reclaimed space for female sexual autonomy and visibility. The vagina, the space in between, potential for self-realization, power, creation, a vagina politics. The obsession with the vagina and female sexuality in Caribbean music dates further back than Vibes Cartel, Baby, You Got the Pussy What You Looking For, Girl You Punani Matchmaker, So Come Roll With a Superstar, Taxi Punani Stay Away Far, Girl Give Me the Benz Punani, Make Me Go and Drive It Up. You're familiar with that as well, right? Vibes Cartel's Benz Punani. So Punani, Pum Pum, the vagina, occupy the space of male artists, a topic that men control and constructed. The vagina wasn't the woman's, but the man's. However, in 1995 in Jamaica, Yellow Man actually started this trending topic with his hit.
In the morning sun and wait till the evening come at night. You want me until you give me some pussy tonight. Burn in the morning sun and wait till the evening come at night. You want me until you give me some pussy tonight. Give me vagina, want vagina. Baby vagina, want vagina. Baby vagina, want vagina. Baby vagina, want vagina. Fat vagina, slim vagina, white vagina, black vagina, blue vagina, red vagina, pink vagina, purple vagina, yellow vagina, brown vagina. You want vagina, you want vagina. Go! Baby vagina, want vagina. Baby vagina, want vagina. Baby vagina, want vagina. Baby vagina, want.
Right, you all familiar with this one? A lot of you maybe not, right? What is interesting about this song and why I choose to use it to sort of historicize the obsession around vagina and the idea of vagina politics and also biopower within the dancehall space is because it wasn't always pussy, pum pum and punani, but Yellow Man actually started this trend by singing about the female space in between by using the word vagina. Right? So some may say, well, you know, that's maybe a little more respectful. He's using the scientific term as opposed to punani or pum pum, which is maybe more derogatory. But that could be debated, right? Because it's all about context. And in Jamaica, that's how they call it. The same way in Indian culture, we call the vagina nani. Right? Stemming from punani as well. And I'll get into that a little bit more as well later on. Right. So, an interesting thing was happening around the same time in Trinidad, where in 1995, Yellow Man was singing about Give Me Vagina, and in Trinidad, in 1998, around the very same time, Indo-Caribbean female Chutney artist Hybridity was reclaiming and owning her own vagina, her own sexuality. In 1998, Hybridity Ranganai took to the stage with Chutney music, increasing the visibility of Indian Trinidadian women, and also the controversy around provocative lyrics, raunchy dancing, and revealing clothing. Niranjana highlights the cultural, or should we say encultured body, of the East Indian woman proliferated discourse. The controversy seemed to indicate an intimate connection between the musical form and the East Indian woman's sexuality. Speaking on her Chutney music, Hybridity herself claims, "In my own story as an artist, it was a form of liberation for Indian female singers, especially in my own country, in Trinidad, where music was a male-dominated sphere. I was able to break all racial, ethnic, and even sexual barriers." Hybridity consciously engaged in vagina politics, destabilizing the power structure within the Chutney space. Some older folks may be familiar, yeah? Ageism, right? I really like this song. I didn't know it before. Only in doing this research, I came across this song, and it really spoke to me in terms of Chutney music and that open space for female agency and autonomy, where an East Indian woman within a patriarchal space can actually stand on stage and sing Lick Down Minani, using very successfully the tradition of CAISO and calypso, the double meaning or the double entendre. So in this song, the sexually charged phrase stands out, Lick Down Minani. Here, Hybridity successfully employs the double entendre, like I said, a tradition in CAISO and calypso music. On one hand, her grandmother, her nanny, and I call my grandmother nanny too, right? Was, as we say in Trinidad, bounced down. She got bounced down, right? By a careless driver. On the other hand, nanny, within an Indo-Caribbean context, is also used to refer to the vagina. So Lick Down Minani alludes to oral sex, where Hybridity actually, through her performance, not only sings about her grandmother being bounced down by a careless driver, but also very proactively reclaiming her sexuality, demanding oral sex from her male counterpart. In utilizing this double entendre, Hybridity is able to openly stage her sexuality as a woman, calling attention to the female body, all coming from within a female space, the female body. Now fast forward to 2013. So everyone is familiar with this song because this song has been riding the airwaves since maybe last year, December, into the carnival season, right? So Walk Up the Ladki embodies hybridity, unity, togetherness, and the genre of Chutney Soca, just as her hit Hybridity, Real Unity did a couple years ago. In both these songs, she teams up with Soca ambassador Marshall Montano, sharing the stage as an equal. In Urdu, Ladki means girl. So the idea of walking up a Ladki or my Ladki really means that as a woman, as a female, again, the sort of expression, the sort of female agency and autonomy comes from within the female body. Again, use of the word my, where she's actively seeking out walking up by, again, a male counterpart. Yeah, very heteronormative, but it still has importance within that space. So again, in Trinidad, when we hear the word walk up, we think to dance provocatively, wine and jam, that sort of walking up. But it can also be used as a metaphor for sexual activity, right? So, and also, girl could transcend into woman, and then that could also transcend into meaning the vagina or that space in between my girl, right? So I thought that was interesting in 2013. We still have that subtle, a little more subtle double entendre in Hybridity lyrics. Before our Sunday Hindu wedding, where women dance, so we already have this consciousness about a matikor being a gendered space, yeah? So according to Roseanne Kanhai in her book, Matikor, in her introduction, she says, matikor provided a rare opportunity for plantation and post-plantation women to claim a space of celebration and articulation. I would even go further to say reclaim, because if you go back to India, in Bihar and in Urdu culture, the matikor was always practiced. That whole idea of female agency within the Indo-Caribbean sphere sort of got diminished when the East Indian laborers came to Trinidad, you know, existed within a colonial patriarchal system. So I would definitely see it as a reclaiming or reclamation of that space. Matikor was a place of healing, where women could act out their resistance against the degradation and depersonalization imposed upon them by the ruling class. As a grassroots Hindu festival, communal religious rituals were embedded in matikor activities, thus bringing together the sacred and the profane, the carnal and the spiritual, the political and the social. I think that's a really powerful quote, because often we tend to think so much in binaries where opposites cannot really exist within one space, but that is the essence of humanity, that we are queer in such ways, queer using queer as a verb, in that we are not just this typical linear normalized self, or we don't exist in typical linear normalized spaces, but the reality of living, of existence of these cultural and traditional spaces do engage in continuums, in bringing binaries together and existing very successfully, happily and peacefully within that space. And I think the matikor does a really good job of bringing together those two things, right? The carnal and the spiritual, the sacred and the profane. Now, you all may know of the Bygone dance. The Bygone dance is performed traditionally at matikors where older East Indian women use the bygone or eggplant, right? A nice, ripe, juicy looking one, right? They use it to enact the sexual activity. And what is quite interesting about the matikor space is that male and female roles are taken up by females. No men are allowed traditionally in that matikor space. Only women, so it's very gendered. But these women use the bygone, this phallic symbol of the bygone, to embody the penis and perform sexual movements and so on, to emphasize to the bride to be, in a very satirical, comical way, that marriage, you're going to get married now, so this is what is going to happen, sex and so on, right? So they hold the bygone close to their vagina and sort of go back and forth in a sort of, joking motion, right? So that's the bygone dance. To the tassa and the chutney and even songs like this, all while patching the lawa, which is the rice that they patch as part of the tradition to then be used on Sunday in the wedding itself. What's particularly interesting about this song that we just played by Rasika Dindyal is that she says people go to the matikor to see them ladies fet, right? Fet is a Soca word, a Caribbean word, not necessarily coming from Indian or Hindu culture. So I think that was really interesting how she sort of used the word fet as being party, celebration, revelry, and so on, and brought it into the chutney space, where women don't only perform the sacred, or perform the ritual, or perform the tradition, but can also come to have a good time and to fete and to party while, passing on these cultures and so on. So I think that was interesting. And she also says that it's a time for ladies to get away. Right? So again, we have that metaphor of getting away. You have to break away and dance and so on. Body politics, again, using your body within that space to express your agency and autonomy through dance, but also to get away or break away again from male-dominated spheres, from patriarchy, to break that mold of oppression and even sexual repression. Right? And in matikors, very old women often do this bygone dance. And, sometimes when we think of older people, we think, they're asexual, they don't have a sexuality. But within this space, very much, we see the old ladies dancing, right? Engaging in that. So this is Dennis Belfon's song, Indian Man. You're familiar with this one as well, right? This is where she merges soca and chutney and has her own rendition of her own chutney soca song, Indian Man, where she is saying again very actively that she is seeking out or looking for an Indian man, again expressing agency and autonomy. And why I chose this song is because it just flows out of what I just spoke about the matikor and chutney music and all of that. And it's a good place to see where even soca artists also engage in that sort of hybridity, right, pulling from different cultures and so on. And the end of the song, she says, chomke me curry. Some people say chomke, some people say chomke, right? So chomke me curry, chomke me dal, right? Chomke meaning to saute, right? And cooking, Eastern and cooking to saute or even to stir. Some people even think about it now to stir. So again, you have that double meaning, double entendre, and that sexual metaphor of her being a vessel or a bowl or a pot, her vagina, and calling on a man to use the phallus, a pot, spoon, or whatever it may be, to stir, meaning to engage her in sexual activity and so on, right? I will press the time, so I'll move on to the next one.
I need a man come to come, no matter where you're from, Could I line up that fun jump and jump? It is plenty not just some. Break up the jacket in a day. Break up the jacket in a day. Break up the jacket in a day.
Right, so this one is another one of her renditions, Jamet. And I really like this one because, again, when we hear the word Jamet, so you can see how I'm moving from Chutney, Soca, into Soca, and then I'll just play like 2 more dancehall songs and speak a little quickly on that. This song where Dennis Gulford actually reclaims the word Jamet, because the Jamet in Caribbean carnival culture was always seen as a very aggressive, raw, provocative, powerful public figure in carnival studies and within the carnival space. And that has sort of been lost a little bit because now we have the criminalization and shaming of girls and women who perform their sexuality actively by calling them an old jamet, a slut, a hoe, all these different things. So in this song she says, bring out the jamet in me, meaning that females who have maybe latent now because of patriarchy and the repression that has been put on women and latent sexuality that can come out and be active just as men, when really and truly it's something natural, that we do share the same sort of sexual feelings and desires as men, to bring out the jamet in me, meaning, to bring out that sexuality.
Worldwide, you see, I am good fucker, man, no big up, no good, come, me cut that day, I wait for you, man, I have to hear me one now, Link! Watch this, man, stop on me, man, watch this, me hear you can grind good and you can fuck sweat. Stop on me knee, the beast food where you have a man can out the straight. Stop on me knee, watch that, look what time got them to do. Tell you fuck where you give them ring jive. You want feel it, so just try me. Me don't care how you treat your team.
Older one by Tanya Stevens. When I was a young girl listening to this, I had no idea. What is she talking about? Have you ever started to think what make a girl sound? I was like, what's that?
Have you ever started like for your drink? You need to take yourself before you start kiss your dick. You're not ready for this yet. Why? Have you ever wondered why make a girl come? A woman must be satisfied before you say you're done. You can't say a thing if you end up again fun. You're not ready for this yet. Why?
Right, so the song before, Lady Saw says, if you can't grind good and you can't fuck sweet, stop up my meat. Or even, if you can't do it, rock so. You have no place here. Emphasizing that women do have desires, they do have a sexuality, they do have sexual appetites that need to be satiated. So I like that song for that. And also the last one I played here, Tanya Stevens, saying to men, have you ever really stopped to think that women do have a sexuality? Have you ever stopped to think what makes a girl come? Meaning what makes a girl have an orgasm, right? And you need to please her before it's done. Because within a patriarchal space surrounding sexual metaphors and sexual scripting, men are seen as the active sexual beings who fulfill their pleasures and so on, whereas the woman is just seen as the body to be desired and used as an object of sexual pleasure. But this song actually says otherwise. No, let's stop and rethink that and see women as having sexuality, agency and autonomy and wants and needs and desires within that sphere. That's the last one. This is a new one that you all should know. The last one.
Lemon is not a issue, come up, boom, boom, turn up. Hey, that mash up, you come up, boom, boom, turn up. I have to go to him, if you come up, boom, boom, turn up. Boom, boom, turn up, me say my boom, boom, turn up. Me tell him, man, it's not a issue, come up, boom, boom, turn up. Hey, that mash up, you come up, boom, boom, turn up. I have to go to him, if you come up, boom, boom, turn up. Boom, boom, turn up, me say my boom, boom, turn up.
Right, so this is Sham featuring O, a Jamaican female artist. And here, a lot of women might listen to the song and say, but what's she talking about? That was real rude and so dirty and so on. But why I like this song again is because it comes from a body, a specific context and situation where she says, using her own words, that man is not an issue because my pum pum turn up. In Trinidad, when we have turn up, we think, oh God, I'm feeling sick, boy, my belly turn up, right? But in Jamaica, turn up doesn't mean sick or anything like that at all. Turn up, like if you say turn up the volume, to turn up is to go to higher heights or higher levels, right? So to say that something is turn up, meaning it's real good, it's ranking, right? It's up there in the ranks. So when she says my pum pum turn up, she's saying her vagina, her sexuality, her ability to be sexual and even to please a man using that space in between is turn up. And she doesn't have an issue keeping a man because of her heightened, powerful sexuality. And I think this song really speaks to the power of the vagina and the possibilities that could come out of that power in terms of sort of shattering or destabilizing patriarchy, where when we think about women, we just think about the vagina as a hole or a space for men to use to receive their own pleasure. Right, so I hope that you like my evolution from Chutney music straight to contemporary dancehall in terms of reclaiming female sexuality and showing how, I'll take some questions after, yeah, somebody's raising their hand, if I could, if I'm permitted. Right, so showing how Chutney, Soca and the dancehall space can provide avenues for female reclamation of sexuality, agency, autonomy, and even further independence. Thank you.
Being allowed to reclaim those things.
The very same way that I have reclaimed the word slut, me and my group and one of my group members, actually two of them here, Rachel and Tori in the back there, we recently had a mini slut walk for International Women's Day, where we not so much reclaimed the word slut, but claimed the word slut, because slut wasn't always used in a positive sense to describe a woman and female sexuality. But in this sense, I don't believe that they are being forced to patriarchy, because again, it comes from a specific situation, a specific body. We go back again to biopolitics and biopower, and the woman speaking out from her own experience. Even if it is self-indulgence, this very same way that men can self-indulge, women can self-indulge as well. And we don't have to feel guilty for self-indulging and even working within that space of the patriarchy to express ourselves as sexual beings.
If I may, I think there's a difference between self-indulgence, which, yes, you're right, is absolutely wonderful, and appropriation by an enforcer. And we have to draw the line between the difference. Because if you can tell me that every woman, including Britney Spears, Rihanna, all these people are in fact writing and producing their own music, and it's not in fact a Jay-Z behind them or somebody like him who's doing it, then you have a claim there. I'm speaking as the original Bitches Brew, that was the name of my column. I claimed that word. And at a time when nobody was writing feminist openness about there. But I worry that the reclamation of our sexuality is absolutely necessary, as you say, that in fact it's also being used against us in many ways, where, for instance, the word squaw, used in Native American culture to describe a woman, the word squaw actually means penis. And when the women were being raped, they would say no squaw, and that's how the name came about. So they were actually being called penis. And we have these things happening now where a word that a woman can claim, when I call myself a bitch, I know what I mean and I know what I can back that up with. But when someone who is 15 or 14 calls herself a bitch because the rapper tells her she's a bitch, that's a different thing. Yeah. And I'm saying that we have to be very careful about that. We have to do a deeper, dancehall culture is not just women being able to come up on a stage and say, this is my pum-pum, and I'm going to use it for you. What we want is for a woman to be able to say, this is my pum-pum, and even if I don't want to use it for you, it is still powerful, and I don't think that's where we are yet. And I think that, in fact, what's going on is working against that sort of thing. But you're on the right track. But I think there needs to be a little more going inward. As we talk about the vagina, the power of going inward, we need a little more of that happening. Talk to maybe older heads, older women who have paved the way, like Rhoda Reddock, etc. and stuff,
Because we're stuck in patriarchy, we have no way to work out of it. So while on one hand, Ben is saying that he used the word pump up, turn up. That's empowering to women, and on the other hand, it's degrading because sexual autonomy, sexual aggression, sexual desire is supposed to be disgusting for a woman. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, you literally use the word whores, they're whoring us out.
We got interviews with prostitutes, we support them and everything. We absolutely support the word whore, the sacred whore is wonderful. But I'm saying that there's a difference between us claiming it and using it our way and it actually being appropriated and using it. I think the dancehall culture, the rap culture, there's a lot of that going on. We heard the difference, even the songs that were played, the matikor song was very different in its essence from other songs. Even when you hear somebody like Denise Belfont sing her song, you hear a marked difference between how she sings a song and how Hybridity sings a song. You hear the difference in a woman who claims the power of her sexuality and knows it is a power and knows that she can wield that power against forces that try to use it against her. And somebody who might just actually be singing a song because, I mean, Hybridity says that she sings what people want to hear. Denise Belfont is just Denise Belfont. Whether she doesn't know what she's convincing, this is my sex. I am powerful. I can say yes, no, maybe. You have no say of it. You can enjoy it. If I share it with you, but you cannot take it, you cannot claim it. And it's dancehall culture where men are in fact impregnating, they impregnate 5, 6, 7, 10 women as part. There's nothing about that as empowering to a woman. And when 12-year-olds and girls in Jamaica are being encouraged to give up their punani, their sacred punani to men just because the dancehall says this is what you do, where do we see the enforcement of woman empowering or vagina politics in that? It is misogynistic and it's hateful and it's destroying the lives of these women, the children they have with plenty. And I'm saying that it's a deeper, bigger picture than just what we would like to appreciate in a song. But those songs make you want to dance. They make you want to, because that's our natural nature. We are sexual people. We want to be flipped, and that's what we're here.